The professional black woman in America is continuing their sympathy tour, and this article will be another example of their failure. You know, since this new administration has taken charge, there have been a lot of people, a lot of things to get exposed in our society. And one of the things is this notion that the black woman in America is the most educated, the most professional, you know, and a whole bunch of other accolades that they tout themselves to make themselves feel like they're the number one group in America and in the world, rather, right? Now, I have to go before I do this article right here, because you see the title. This is from MSNBC. 300,000 black women have left the labor force in 3 months, and it is not a coincidence. Now, I gotta lay the groundwork here for just a second before we get into this brouhaha, if you will. Now, let's go back. This was in May. This is from CGA. It says 65% of black women with university degrees work for the government. And then it goes down to say not that 65% of workers are black women, but that 65% of all college-educated black women are employed by the government. They literally have no job market. You know what that means? That means that of these women, most of them are employed by the United States government. Okay. Now, I also want to reference this that I did, I believe, during that time. This was 2 months ago. This is one of my videos. It says, see, this article says April jobs report black women lost 106,000 extra jobs, most among all workers. Okay, remember that. All right. Now, that was in April. It is now the end of July. This is Sunday at the time of this recording, the 27th of July. And now we're here. That 300,000 black women have left the labor force in 3 months. The caption here says, for decades, the public sector has been a lifeline for black women shut out of economic opportunity. It's no surprise that Trump's federal downsizing targeted them first, explains gender economist Katika Roy.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
Now, of course, in this article, they're going to make a whole bunch of excuses why they got hit the hardest in here. But to be honest with you, there are several reasons that are self-inflicted. But let's get in this article and try to break down some of the reasons that they have that black women are the hardest hit by this downsizing in the federal government, okay, and in the workforce in general, right? So let's dig into the statistics. It says here in just 3 months, nearly 300,000 black women left the U.S. labor force. Their labor force participation rates have now dropped below that of Latinas for the first time in over a year, and more than nearly 518,000 black women still haven't returned to the labor force since the pandemic began, leaving their real unemployment rate at just above 10%.
I'm so damn sorry to hear that.
This isn't a coincidence. It's the result of federal policy choices, most immediately sweeping job cuts across public sector agencies where black women have long held the strongest foothold in middle-class employment. Now, how many black women that you know have touted that they work for the government?
Enemy spotted.
That they have this great government job, you know, they flaunt how they have security clearances, or they work for, you know, so-and-so company or organization, 3-letter organization or 4-letter organization. And, you know, that because of that, they can go on these trips and do all this extravagant stuff, own these, you know, Mercedes Benzes, these, you know, C-class Mercedes Benz and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, that they're basically independent because they have these jobs. And again, if we look back at the statistics, 65% of black women with university degrees work for the government, right? So they don't have any other, let me see here. They literally have no job market. You know what that means? They go in jobs where they can go straight into the government workforce. They don't go into, you know, STEM. They don't go into, you know, maybe healthcare, like these nurses and all that kind of stuff. 65% of black women that have degrees work for the government.
He's out of line, but he's right.
That, i.e., you know, some of these 3-letter and 4-letter, you know, law enforcement organizations, the Department of Department of Education, and, you know, the Department of Public Health, and all these other organizations, right? That's what they work for. Okay, and so because of these job cuts that have been going on in the government, As a result of the statistics that I showed you by Twitter, black women have been the most affected by these cuts. And well, again, it's because you chose to work, all you women chose to work for the government because it was easy to get into because of your degree. But now you never thought that this was going to happen to you, but now it's here. The agencies like the Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services have seen a drastic reductions in staff, up to 50% in some cases. These are not just institutional losses. They represent the disappearance of stable, often well-paying jobs that historically provide economic security to black women and their families they support. Now, that is not the government's fault. Enemy spotted. Again, this is your fault for the jobs that you chose to take. All right. So all of you got into the same field, which was the government. So now all of you are facing this downturn in employment. So is it really the government's fault for firing you, or is the numbers just represent what all of y'all chose? You see what I mean? How we got here, the federal pullback. Now, this is where they go into the excuse making and blaming pretty much the administration and everything else. For decades, the public sector has served as a lifeline for black women shut out of opportunity elsewhere in the economy. Black women make up over 12% of the federal workforce, almost double their share of the labor force overall. These roles offer not only pensions and benefits, but more equitable pay than the private sector, where wage gaps remain entrenched. Again, they didn't want to move up in the jobs where like men would go. They worked their way from the bottom up. They go straight to the government jobs where they can get all the health care and the benefits, the 401k and all these, the sick time and all those other vacations. And that's cool. But again, when the bottom falls out of said profession, like any profession, I'm a contractor. It could happen to me too, right? I'm a mechanic. It can happen to any of us, truck drivers. It can happen to any profession. So we can't sit here and be like, okay, well, I'll never get fired and then blame, said organization for why it happens. Okay. Nobody is safe out here in the economy. Nobody. All right. But they seem to think they were because they worked for the government. And now here we are. That infrastructure is now eroding at pace. Beginning in early 2025, a wave of federal downsizing justified as efficiency reforms has disproportionately hit jobs in education, health, and community-facing roles. These are the very sectors where black women are concentrated. Again, you can't blame the economy for where all the black women choose to be employed. As the federal budget shrinks, the effects ripple through state and local governments. When public schooling funding dries up or health departments are hollowed out, it's often pink-collar jobs held by black women that are the first on the chopping block. So you're naming the reasons why, because hear me out. Black women aren't the only people affected by this. But again, looking at the statistics, right, they're putting this out. Because the majority of black women are in this sector, they got affected the most. So it's not because they got targeted. It's because the most of y'all chose to get in this damn profession. Enemy spotted. If you've made it this far in the video and you're still here, thank you again for your viewership. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, that way you can be notified whenever I go live or drop new content. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, please do so by hitting the Cash App $sign Mr. Normie. And you can also go to my Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/workingmanmg. Also, I'm trying to build a community on Locals. So if you would, go please check out my Locals page and you can join for just $5 a month. You can post and we can build a community of like-minded working men over there. Thank you for your time. Now back to the video. At the same time, we witnessed an aggressive rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the federal government and the private sector. In government, DEI roles were among the first eliminated under the current administration. Internally, directives signal that race-conscious dialogues, even when supported by data, are now restricted or suspect, reinforcing a chilling effect on equity-driven decision-making. So basically, DEI was the white equivalent of affirmative action. And so they pulled back DEI because you know what happened? With affirmative action, people were getting put in place, no white women and things like that, and the rainbow community as well. But see, then we put DEI in there, and the black women that they were putting in there, the black people that they were putting in there, are people of color, right? They were getting put in these positions, but I don't think they were qualified. And because they brought their ratchetness and their disrespect for leadership and things like that in there, guess what? They pulled that back. And so now, again, Black people and black women especially, this is your fault because you ruined DEI. It was made especially for you, and you took advantage of it in a negative way, and now they pull the rug out from under you, and now you're crying that you got disproportionately affected by the cuts, all right? In the private sector, DEI budgets have been slashed or frozen. Job posting for DEI roles dropped by 43% between August of 2022 and July of 2024, and the total number of DEI positions fell from 20,000 in 2023 to 17,500 by April of 2025. Companies have also scaled back mentorship programs, slowed inclusive hiring, and deprioritized equity benchmarks, treating DEI as expendable even as the data proves otherwise. So guess what? There's the benchmarks, the inclusive hiring, aka we got to make sure we get this many black women or black people in this position or in this job, in this organization. And so they scaled all that back. Who does that hurt again? Because all of you chose to get into government jobs. Guess who got disproportionately affected? Black women. Huh? The courts are reinforcing this disturbing trend. In 2024, a federal appeals court blocked the Fearless Fund from offering grants exclusively to black women entrepreneurs, ruling that the program likely violated Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act. The decision sent a clear signal. Race-conscious private initiatives are now more exposed to legal attack, deterring investment inequity just when it's needed the most. Well, is it really needed the most? Or again, this is a program that you would love to take advantage of, but now because you've abused it, and well, we got the big old bad orange man coming in and rolling everything back, that now we have a reason to cry about why we can't hold these jobs anymore.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
Let's continue. Broader policy blind spots. The economic risks for black women don't stop at employment losses. Other recent policy changes compound the threat to long-term financial stability. Inflation and gender pricing. The current inflation rate for goods marked to women like footwear and apparel is 177% higher on average than those marked to men. This isn't because women buy more, it's because gender is built into how prices are taxed and structured. No, actually, it is because you buy more.
Enemy spotted.
They can make the price however high they want, but guess what? You know why? Because you're going to get this government job. You're going to say, F the price. I can buy what I want because I'm strong and independent, and you're going to pay for it anyway. You know what that means? That means they're going to market it as high as they want because they know you stupid fucks are going to pay for it.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
Guess what? Yes, you are going to pay for it. You know why? And you know what now? Guess what? Now you lost your job. Now you can't afford it no more. And for black women who earn just 64 cents for every dollar earned by white, non-Hispanic men, the math is stark. They have 36% less coming in and face nearly triple the inflation on essentials going out. That's not a gap. It's an economic trap. Okay, sweet. Student loan debt. This is a big one right here. Student loan debt. The so-called big beautiful bill promises relief, but women will pay $13.9 billion more than men under the new plan. And it's hit black women the hardest because repaying student loan debt takes longer and they accrue more interest while struggling over cost essentials. In fact, 57% of black women with student loans report difficulty meeting basic expenses. You know why that is? Because black women are living above their means.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
That's why. Because guess what? We have more black women going to college. This whole thing about we're the most educated. Let's go back. 65% of black women university degrees work for the government. Guess what? Because of that, guess what? You also have the most student debt and you're living above your means. You know why? Because of this right here. Because you're going to pay more for your goods than they know you will. And guess what happens? Guess what? Now you're priced out.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
You're priced out. And you got to pay your student loan debt back that you got so you can be independent, so that you can tout yourself being the most educated. And guess what? Now you got all this debt. Huh? This is the economic fallout. The policy-driven displacement has far-reaching consequences, not just for black women, but for the entire economy. Okay. Yeah. Wait, let me go back up here. Black women are among the most vulnerable to automation, with 21% working jobs and highly exposed AI-driven disruption. Yet they hold just 3% of computing related jobs. So all of you people that are, in the office jobs, all you guys that are, data entry personnel, you're about to get kicked out because AI is about to take over your job because you're not really needed. And guess what? That's another cut. Between February and April of 2025, black women lost 318,000 jobs, even as the overall economy added jobs. It's not just a mismatch, it's a structural exclusion from both the current economy and the next one. So they're blaming AI. Man, and I could just go on and on and on and on and on. Now we're talking about here. More than 51% of black households with children led by breadwinner mothers. Now here we go, the single mothers.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
Many of whom are the sole source of income in their homes. When these women are pushed out of the workforce, entire families lost their economic foothold, threatening housing stability, consumer spending, and educational outcomes for children. Though these are not isolated setbacks, they are systematic losses. Well, because the black community, we have a problem with single mother households.
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
I mean, this just goes on and on and on and on. More excuse making of why, because you chose to be the most educated, because you chose to get in government jobs, because you chose to have bad spending habits, because you chose to have these children without fathers. Some of you decide to be, single or a single mother by choice. Some of y'all that made bad choice in men. I mean, either way, blah, blah. We can go down the gambit with that. Guess what? Now we have 300,000 black women leaving their jobs, and now you're crying about how it's hurting you, the work, more than everybody else. Right? No. This is your failure because of decisions you made. Just like me or any other man or woman of any other race. You had to go find another job. You got to think outside the box now, figure out another way to make money for your family. Or you can lean on the government programs that you are railing so much to keep on this current administration because you will probably join them, right? Okay. And with that being said, thank you for attending another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Fury. Let me know what you think about the 300,000 black women that are now without jobs and struggling to figure out what their next move is going to be, right? And blaming the government all the while, just like they do with every other problem they have. They either blame black men, the government, racism. Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section. Please, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. We're out of the door. And remember, black women, reality checks are free. See you next time.